Welcome, golf fans, pursuers of knowledge and the almighty dollar. This is your golf guru bringing you my 2021 Masters preview show. Thank you for stopping by. And yes, I am excited. It is finally here. It is Masters Week. Even though we had one not too long ago, but under different circumstances, different conditions, this is going to be a totally different tournament. I want to thank you again for stopping by. Spend a few minutes with me. We got a lot to cover. I am going to do a quick recap on the Valero, but it's totally focused on the guys that will be playing in the Masters. We already, if you watch the tournament, we already know quite a few things that happened there, but we'll get into all that. I'm going to go into a course breakdown. We're going to do some analysis on the players, some past history performance. We're going to do everything, and hopefully I can get this all wrapped up in 30 minutes for you. So let's get into this. First thing, let's talk about the giveaway I got going on. So right now I am looking to award two people an entry on my dollar, staking you for the $100 entry into the Milli-Maker contest that is going on as we speak. I'm going to get this wrapped up, get everybody in here shortly, and have the final results. I'm going to try to do it actually Tuesday night, just to give you some time to make sure you get in this entry. All you need to do is like this video, share it with anybody that also might think gets some value. Subscribe if you're not a subscriber to be able to enter into the contest. If you are a subscriber, just tell me who wins the Masters. And if somehow I get to 500 subscribers in the next couple days, right now I'm getting somewhere around 400, then I'll do 5 draws. But right now we're going to do 2. So make sure you tell me who's going to win the Masters. Leave me a comment below in the YouTube comments. Okay, so real quick, let's talk about the Valero Texas Open. I'm not going to spend a ton of time. It's short from my picks. 12 of my 15 picks made it on to the weekend and did pretty well. The only ones that did fall apart was Finau, which was a bit shocking. We'll look a little at his analysis because he is in the Masters. Burns and I believe HV3. All the rest did pretty well. I did, of course, have Spieth. Was not picking him to actually win it in my own brain, but great for him, and it's going to make things a little interesting here for the Masters. So let's dive into some quick analysis on the Valero, and then let's get into the Masters. Okay, so as I typically do, I like to look at the stroke gain analysis for these guys, and as you'll see, I pulled up everybody that played at the Valero that is going to be playing at the Masters, and some of these we're not going to have to focus on, but there is about 22 guys, which actually was shocking. I didn't think there was that many guys that qualified for the Masters that played in the Valero. But number one, Matt Wallace, who took third place, played great. The putter kind of let him down when it all came. And same with Charlie Hoffman, actually, which he's not on here, but I'm just mentioning he was the one that I thought would kind of pull it out. Typically Spieth was falling back on Sundays, but good for Spieth. Shot 5 under. I take that back. Shot 6 under and won the tournament. And where Charlie Hoffman had his opportunities early on and did not cash in, and that was that. But if we look at Matt Wallace, he actually led the field in approach and tee to green. As I mentioned, the putter is what ultimately kind of killed him on Sunday. Of course, Jordan Spieth won, and I don't know if he actually led. I think it was Chasen Hadley that led him putting, but out of these guys, he was your leader, gaining almost 6 strokes on the putting surface. He didn't lead in any other category, but did amazing on approach around the green, which typically is where Jordan excels. And, still had a little bit of struggles with the tee, but as you saw if you watched the Sunday, I don't know how many fairways he hit, but he did much better on Sunday than he did the rest of the week, and good on him. Gary Woodland, he ended up with a T6 and, made the cut, by a stroke, or actually, well, it was +2, right? So he made it by 3 strokes. But what was shocking is how he did on the weekend. He led these guys around the green, gaining almost 5 strokes, and did everything very well. The putter's still not where it needs to be, but someone that could be sneaky. I think he's in the $6,000 range. But yeah, someone that is showing some form coming into the Masters. I'm trying to think of anybody else that I want to highlight here. Lanto Griffin, lost 3 strokes with the putter, so that wasn't great. Hideki, was actually one of my picks, and thought, he came out, shot that 5 under, and I thought, here we go. I kind of called it right. We were looking for guys that were elite tee to green, and also what there's a little tidbit that I did not know is Hideki, I think, is second when it comes to gaining strokes putting in Texas. So there you go. I will put that in my next Valero preview next year, but I just thought that was amazing that he just loves to putt, supposedly in Texas, but did not pan out anyways as he went to shoot 2 over on Friday and really just didn't do much the rest of the weekend. And you can see off the tee. So I was watching him, and Thursday hit the ball great, was in total control. And then on Friday, just started getting this snap hook. And then so when you start snap hooking it, what do? Try to get the hands going further ahead of your belly button and started hitting the misses to the right. So the driver is definitely something that is not typically a problem for Hideki, but definitely was there. And typically with putting. So funny enough, I mentioned, if I remember the stat, he gains almost a stroke when he's putting in Texas. So as you see, the opposite was here. He lost a stroke, but he still chipped in for, I believe he had an eagle chip in, but had a couple chip ins, so he did well around the green. Corey Connors, the past champion, at least from 2019, led at least these guys. I don't know if he actually led the whole field, but led these guys in stroke gain off the tee, which is not a shocker. Struggled a little bit around the green, but the putter, actually didn't do bad for Corey Connors. So he does like putting on those greens. They were running at 11, so a little bit slower. As we talked about, you don't have to be the best putter to win at this course. But Jordan, funny enough, is one of his key stats that he did to win the tournament. So there you go. Scotty Scheffler was someone also that I was looking at. Same thing. I had coming out of Thursday, I looked really good, and then after Friday, it wasn't as good. To shoot 6 over there was shocking. It was all about approach, and the putter was just not working for Scotty. Siwoo, someone that we might want to look at, just so you have an idea. Shot even the first 2 days, but shot 4 under for the weekend. Did everything positive. Usually these two numbers need to be a little better, but did gain strokes with the putter. Again, as someone to think about, Ryan Palmer, who is playing in the Masters, gained a ton off the tee, struggled on approach, a little bit around the green, but did pretty well with the putter. And I'm just going to pick out the guys that I think we're most curious. Tony Finau is probably the one, and maybe Abraham Answer that, is the two that you might be looking at playing. And again, you can't base a ton, but I do look at this is a pretty similar course. The fairways are generous, but if you get off them, as you saw, you're in trouble. There's not a lot of rough area, and then you're into cactuses and rocks and whatnot and trees. So you need to hit the ball in the fairway at this course, as we knew that going in. And Tony struggled with that, as you see, which was very interesting. They'd have lost over 4 strokes against the field off the tee, which that is not typical Tony. And then, of course, he did not do so hot at the WGC. So we're a little, at least from my perspective, a little worried about where Tony's game is at this moment. But did well on approach, but lost again on the putter. Very typical for Tony. Danny Willett showed, a little bit of form in Corrales, but, past champion here under the crazy wind issue. So he did qualify and stays qualified for this, but, barely made the cut. Really didn't do anything to look at. Abraham, I was waiting for him to kind of break through, and he did do a little better on the weekend. Barely made the cut by a stroke. Even on Hoffman, right? He shot, it was like 75 on Thursday. And then, to actually make the cut, I think, on the number, and then to do what he did on the weekend, it was pretty impressive. Hoffman is not at the Masters. But Abraham Answered, typically what he does, is pretty elite from tee to green, but lost, around the greens, but, did pretty good for him with the putter. So again, someone that you might want to look at upcoming here. Stinson, nothing to really talk about there. Made the cut on the number and then did nothing on the weekend. Cameron Champ was one of my sleeper picks, and it wasn't looking good at all for Cameron, but give him a lot of credit. So that's actually his home course, and what I mean by that is that's the course that he goes, practices, plays quite a bit. They say he did that because it is a tough test of golf from a yardage perspective, very similar to what we're going to be looking at Augusta National. And good on Cameron. I mean, he had a great Sunday, did well for me on Showdown, and really had to make a huge comeback the next day because I got to watch PGA Live, his whole 18 holes, and it was kind of a rough go. But ultimately, after the 4 days, gained as he should. And that was what on Thursday, he was just hitting the ball over the lot, which is just not typical. Very usually, hits that low ball flight, very straight, not average, sitting between 340. But, the approach was off, and that's always been a little bit of a nick of him, like 100, 125 in. He's just not able to stick it within that 10-foot range of proximity of the pin. And he was struggling a little bit with that. Around the green has never been a strong suit, but the putter picked up as the weekend went on. So, again, could he be someone that you might want to look at for the Masters? Could be a possibility. Jimmy Walker, there's not much to even talk about there. Charles Schwartzel, of course, was a past winner there, but again, he didn't really do anything to even really look at. Phil Mickelson, had a terrible Thursday. I think he shot a 10. I actually got to watch a little bit of that hole, and then had a good comeback, but didn't make the weekend. And Brian Gay, nothing to talk about, and Zach Johnson. If you're curious, game of the putter, lost everywhere else. But so that is the guys that played at the Valero and what they did. And I just wanted to spend a few minutes on that. I wasn't going to focus on the whole Valero. I just wanted you to look at some information about the guys you're going to be seeing here this weekend. Okay, let's get into this and talk about the Masters. Okay, so the first thing, let's just talk about a couple hot topics. Of course, I'm kind of glad I did not record this earlier because, as we all know, John Rahm did have his baby on Sunday, and for a bit, I'm still going to show this video because I was going to be probably like a lot of you, maybe fading him, just terrified that he was going to get the call, that he had to leave.
All I can say is, if anybody's thinking about betting on me on the Masters, maybe think about it twice because there's a chance I have to just turn around and leave that week.
But that actually is not the case, and as we know, he has a healthy baby boy. I believe it was born on Sunday, and so we're all good there. And then, of course, Brooks Koepka. Never thought in a million years that he was going to try to play at the Masters. I wasn't even sure if he'd make PGA, the PGA Championship, but he is at Augusta. He is played a few holes. He's on the range, and supposedly he's going to give it a go. Now we're going to have to just keep a close eye on it as we go our next few days. But the reason why I'm so shocked was because he rushed back. Right, this is the opposite knee. This is not his left knee. It's his right knee he had surgery done on. And, he rushed back and probably should have never done that regarding his left knee and caused a lot more problems. So I thought for sure he would take a lot of time before he came back, but he did not. So he is in the field. Someone to keep an eye on, and we'll look at ownership projections. I mean, he's definitely got the skill set that he could do something if he's 100% or even maybe, 85, 90% healthy. I'm just a little terrified that he goes out, tries to give it a go on Thursday, and then, you come see Friday that it starts to take effect. So we'll go from there. All right, let's talk about the course breakdown. Don't have to tell a lot. I mean, everybody's probably watching this. You've got to see quite a bit of Augusta National over the years. It's probably the number one watched tournament. But I'm going to give you, for maybe some people that are, newer, let's get you all the information on the course. So, of course, it is located in Augusta, Georgia, and was opened back in 1933. The architects, of course, are McKinsey and Robert Jones. It is a par 72 and plays around almost 7,500 yards. You're looking at Bermuda perennial ryegrass rough and fairways. And then, of course, the greens are bent grass. And yes, they have the sub-air system. And there has been some discussion that they have a sub-air system in the fairways. I tried to find that out because I'm a little confused why they wouldn't have turned on the sub-air, of course, for the tournament that took place here in the fall. It makes no sense that, they would allow that course to play, won't say as easy as it did, but definitely different than we usually see it. So what I know for sure is they do have sub-air under all 18 greens and can definitely firm those things up as quick as they need to. I do not have confirmation that they can do the same thing. That's a little hard for me to believe that you put sub-air through your whole fairway system. It is quite a daunting task. I think the first green, I think it was like number one green, they put in like 2001, and then just kept putting in the, as it went along, because it's not something that you can just, put in a couple months, this kind of system, especially for all the fairways. So anyways, I digress. On that note, here's a couple players that are mentioning about playing within the last month at course and how it's going to play.
You go there, I expect it to be a very different Masters than what we've seen in the last couple. Rumors that I've heard already are that it's already firm and fast, 2-3 weeks out from the golf tournament. So I think it'll play significantly different, and I'm looking forward to that challenge.
I played Augusta on Monday and Tuesday as well. So I played with my son, and we ended up playing 36 holes on Monday, which is not the easiest walk around there, but and then 18 holes yesterday morning. So I've played a lot of golf recently. So I will say it's as hard as I've seen Augusta play, even when there's been when it's been the week of the Masters. It was cold yesterday morning, 45, 50 degrees. It was playing long, and the greens were like rock. They were really releasing out. So it was a tough couple of days to play Augusta.
So that being said, it is going to play totally different than what we saw back in I think I said maybe August before, but I believe it was in November. But there has been some rain, so they've gotten quite a bit of rain. I even saw the women's amateur, U.S. amateur they just played at the Masters that it was a little wet. But again, I have a hard time believing that they are going to allow that course to get shot 20 under again. They're going to do everything in their power to make sure it is firm and fast and plays like the typical Masters that we've seen. On that note, player feels around 94, of course, top 50 in ties. So about a little over 50% of the people make it through. So on one side, this, for me, from a DFS perspective, and even from a betting perspective, it's a little easier to kind of slim this field down pretty quickly to a player pool because, typically I'd say like the last 10 guys, right, are just guys that are just playing because, they've won the Masters and still just want to go and play there. That's fine. I mean, you got Bernhard Langer, who made the cut recently. Actually, I think beat DeChambeau from a score perspective. You've got Freddie Couples, who's done it, made the cut. So, some guys down there that could possibly make the cut. Not going to probably contend, so you don't have to worry about that. But, will make the cut. Could help your team if you're looking for a cheapie. I think Stuart Sinks at $6,100. Someone like that definitely is live, can make the cut. From a winning score perspective, I think that was over the last 4 years. Of course, the 20 under was DJ. The course record, I believe, I didn't put the guys that did. I think it was Greg Norman. I don't think DJ said it when he shot, but it's Greg Norman and somebody else I'm forgetting. But winning scores typically somewhere around single digits. I'd say it's going to end up somewhere single digits to 12 under. That 20 under, of course, is an outlier, and we can pretty much throw that away. A couple interesting facts. On average, it takes at least 6 times playing this course to win the Masters. It took Dustin Johnson 10 times. And then when DJ won this previous one, it was a 35th consecutive major won by a player ranked in the top 50 for official world golf rankings. What does that all mean? You've got to play this course quite a few times to be able to win it. You got to know where to have your misses, your leaves, the greens. It's a total different ball game. I doubt we're going to see like a Dylan Fratelli who plays it for the first time and ends up, top 10. That's probably not going to happen. Okay, course defense. Again, you've probably seen this course quite a bit, but it's got a ton of the trees. It's got the pine trees. It's got the pine straw. So, you get in there, you can get out, but, can cause some issues. You got 44 white sand traps. You got water that comes into play on 5 different holes. And again, as I mentioned, you're going to have very firm and fast greens, and of course with major undulation. So you got to really know the greens. And that's probably where my focus is going to be is guys, I'll probably build from the greens, looking for guys that are really good around the greens, on the greens, and working my way back. That's where my mind is right now. And as I mentioned down there, it's all about the greens. And then if you look at 2020 again, which, I just thought it's kind of an interesting tidbit. The front 9 here played 48 under, and the back 9 played 9 under, and that was for the first round. So again, there is a difference there, and we can look at that when we break down the scorecard. And then just real quick, I've been doing this just to give you an overhead look. Again, if for some reason you haven't watched the Masters quite a bit, this isn't going to help you a ton, but it'll give you some illustration. Of course, you got Amon's Corner, the par 3 going into that par 5 around the water. That's, the area that when people come into it, depending on how you come out of it, how you typically would do for that Sunday. And a lot of people say the tournament is actually not won on Sunday until you get around that corner. Every hole, as you can see, is typically you've got the trees, you got that brown pine tree straw, you got a ton of traps, as we mentioned, water, and you got to be able to work the ball here. You look at the Bubba Watson, who's won here twice. You got Phil Mickelson, guys that can shape the ball left and right, a draw or a fade, typically do well here. So you got to have all the shots, and you got to have your game 100%. Again, why typically you don't have a Danny Willett who wins unless some crazy weather comes into effect. And on that note, it does look like right now that we could have a little weather starting on Thursday, but everything leading up to that looks like it's going to dry out the course pretty good. And again, from a scorecard perspective, it's not a gentle hello. Starting on number 1 is the number 2 hardest hole on the course, number 2 handicap. And then you kick off the back 9 with, 2 of the harder handicap holes, and you finish up on the number 5 handicap hole. So it is a pure test of golf from the word go until the end. And the short of it is you just try to manage the par 4s and get your scoring done on the par 5s, which is not, too typical, different than any course we typically talk about, but it's just so different here that you can have a blow up hole so quickly if it's a par 3 or a par 4. And if you can manage your way around there and stay pretty close to even par and strike on the par 5s, that's how you typically win the Masters. Past conditions, as I mentioned, we can really kind of chuck out the last one, but I pulled it up anyways. But typically it's going to play fast, firm. When the winds move in Augusta, especially in the springtime, that's a key thing where guys who have played here in the past know how certain winds play. If you heard when Tiger in 2019 won and got to watch the guys on the par 3, and I'm going to mess that up. I think it was 16, but I'm blanking right now. Watch those guys hit the balls in the water and open up. And he knew that wind, what it does coming off there, and knew that he had to take a little more club. And of course, to be safe, you definitely want to go. But he got to watch Brooks and Finau, in the par 3, hit it off the water. I think he even said when he was coming down the fairway watching guys on that par 3. So knowing the wind here is a big advantage. Also outside of knowing where your leaves and misses and what side of the fairways and the greens you got to be on. Again, all back to you've got to have a past history here. I think what we saw recently didn't have so much effect because of how soft the course was playing. And then from a comp course perspective, honestly, I don't think there is a great comp course for this. But these were just a few just because of recently from a distance and a par 72. If you look at Valero where they just left, there are a lot of runoff. The green complexes are not as tough, but there is a lot of runoff areas. So we can look a little bit at that. Even Bay Hill from a yardage and a par 72. And then CC of Houston is bent greens. These two are Bermuda, is a par 72 and plays over 7,400 yards. There's also a course where they play some of the majors, like Quail Hollow and course like that, I'll look at too. So when you put the filters on and looking at Fantasy National, it will help us to do some because we don't have the stroke gain analysis here. The Masters owns everything, right? They own their own shot link information. They own, all the rights to everything from merchandise to viewing the Masters. But we do have some information that we're going to leverage. So stick with me on that. Okay, and this is one thing I was going to show. So just talking about past winners here, and I didn't put DJ in here because I'm going to show you something that's a little interesting, I think. And I'll explain it before I actually jump into it. But what this is Data Golf did an analysis on the past winners, I think the 2004. And what they're showing here, just so I can illustrate, is this dotted line that you see is the average PGA Tour player in any event. What they typically do. And then an average PGA Tour winner. So when they win an event, what do they do very well? And then you got the Masters and what they did at the Masters very well. And I'm actually going to jump in and show you all the different guys. And the short of it, what you're going to see is there's a lot of different ways to win at the Masters, but maybe some things stick out to us that we want to look at. So we look at this again. I'm at Data Golf. You want to go look at it yourself, datagolf.com. Just type in the Masters. And this is starting in 2004. Phil Mickelson won. And then it just shows, okay, Phil actually gained, almost 2 strokes driving distance. He did it with the putter around the green and gained, a little more than approach. But his accuracy off the tee, he actually lost almost a stroke and a half. You look at Tiger Woods, almost exactly the same. Did it with driving distance, putting around the green, approach. But it wasn't so much about driving accuracy. Phil Mickelson did everything, just a little better than the average PGA Tour winner. So you see that. Zach Johnson now totally flip it. And it was all about driving accuracy, gaining over 2 strokes in that area. But did everything else, pretty decent. But his distance, had nothing to do with it. Trevor Immelman, kind of the same thing. It was more about accuracy, approach. That's kind of shocking is that he actually lost almost a stroke comparative on the putting. Angel Cabrera, who technically is in the field, but I think he's waiting to go to jail. So don't worry about Angel. Had almost like this Bubba Watson model where he gained, on the driving distance, but everything else was a little less. Phil Mickelson, again, distance, putting around the green, approach, but, as Phil, typical, not so much on the accuracy. Then you get back into this, kind of Zach Johnson with Charles Schwartzel. Just do everything well, but putted exceptionally well. We look at Bubba. It was all about driving distance. Adam Scott about driving distance, but did everything else pretty well. Bubba again, driving distance. So those are kind of almost identical if you look from 2012 and 2014. 2015, it was all about putting around the green approach. And my kind of feel is that, again, as I mentioned, that's probably where I'm going to focus. If it's going to be as firm and fast as it is, I'm probably going to work my way back from the green to the tee. That is how I'm going to probably be doing my picks. Danny Willett, again, this was the year of the weather. Just kind of did everything about on average. Sergio, maybe a little bit of distance, but just a little better than average. Then Patrick Reed, crazy gained around the green and putting approach. And then the last one, Tiger Woods won in 2019, really gained with approach, maybe a little on accuracy, but everything else was pretty similar to an average PGA Tour winner. So I just thought that was kind of interesting. And all I'm trying to illustrate with that is if anybody says you must, hit the ball a long way, you must, be the longest, Bryson DeChambeau to win this, that is incorrect. And I just showed you that, over the past 15 years, that there's a lot of different ways to win it. Okay, so enough about past winners. Let's keep moving in. So how do you win at this course? And I thought that picture was kind of funny with, I found that with Ron putting the jacket on. He is, not the guy that I'm all in to win this. I haven't made that determination yet on exactly who from the top range guys, but with the baby already being born, I guess there's two spins of that. Either his mind's going to be somewhere else and maybe he didn't get to be able to prep as much as he'd like because of the baby just being born, or maybe he's floating on cloud nine and wants to go win one for his son right off the bat. Who knows how that all plays out? I have not sat, but I guess the good news is we don't have to worry if we pick him. He is going to finish the tournament no matter what, unless he, or doesn't make the cut somehow, but I highly doubt that. So as mentioned, the skill sets, as I rank them, I see number one is putting. And, like I said, if you looked at the chart we just went through, you could kind of argue, yep, that is very key. And you could argue that sometimes it wasn't key. But I believe it's all about the three putts. And so if you go back to managing those par fours, it's going to be a really good putter and a person that can get up and down to be able to do that. And so that was my first two things that I'm looking at. The next, of course, you got to be good tee to green. You got to get it to the green. And then the proximities that show up here is typically the 75 to 100 and 100 to 125. So, of course, I can't look at that analysis against Augusta National, but I can definitely look at some of the comp courses that fit this course and see how they've done. And I'll be looking at recent form. Of course, driving distance, you are going to need to hit the ball to give yourself chances, for the birdies and whatnot. So, of course, driving distance, but with, fairways in red, kind of a combination. You got to be good in the sand. You're going to be in a bit of sand around here. And again, I already mentioned manage the par fives. Between 450 and 450-500 is where a lot of the par fives make up. And then, again, we're going to look at par five efficiency. You got to make your hay there. All right, so we take a quick look at this field. Of course, it's funny, when I first was doing this, as I mentioned, the pricing wasn't out, and then luckily pricing did pop up. Again, this was all prepared a couple days ago, but just, again, dealing with a cold. Couldn't get it out sooner. But in short, what we can pull from an analysis is fairways gain, green and reg, bogey avoidance, double bogey avoidance, birdies, par five, strokes gain on par fives, and sand safe. So that's what they kind of call old stroke gain analysis. And if you, quickly pop that in and click on the rank, you can see, DJ leading off, which, my take on DJ is I'm terrified of him. First, he's the number one most expensive player, and I always typically fade the number one most expensive player. His recent form, as we all know, has just been suspect. You got him, of course, got beat by Kevin on the match play, which I don't, that's not at all. It's more about the previous tournaments. I would have probably felt better if he would have played the Valero, and I don't know why, and I know why he didn't play the Valero, but it would have made everybody feel a lot better. And I think himself to go out and see where his game was. And I think it would have been a good test of golf. Why he signed up in the beginning to play it was there is similarities there. You got to hit the fairways. It's long. There's a lot of runoff on the greens now. The green complexes, I would not say are close to, what there's at the Masters, but it would have been nice for him to do, but he did not. So we're still kind of in guessing. Corey Connors, it's going to be interesting to get it just from a short game perspective. Of course, Reed. I'm a Reed fan. I think he's super live here. But yeah, you can see the guys that come up. Oh, and this is over the past 12 rounds. It looks like I pulled up just so you know from a recent form. So it just gives you an idea where these guys kind of rank. It's not looking at. Oh, this is all based off Augusta. I apologize. So this is just pulling Augusta National past history for the past 12 rounds, looking at these weighted averages. Okay, and then just to give you a little more information, I wanted to go and look at past history. Now, funny enough, I can get total stroke gain, just that end number that is possible. And so if you look over the past, who's led over the past 5 years, DJ's number one. Of course, you got Rory coming off suspicious form. You got Spieth, who just won the Valero. You got John Rahm, dealing with the baby thing, as in, how's it going to relate? I definitely feel better. You got Justin Rose with the bad back, who's not played. Oh, geez, what did he pull out of the? Was that the WGC Workday Concession? I'm blanking now what tournament that was. He pulled out where he was actually doing pretty well. You got Koepka with a knee. You got Matsuyama, who's not in good form. You got Justin Thomas, who just won the Players, but the putter's been kind of all over. You got Webb, who's been You got Jason Day, who's actually been making a resurgent. He could be an interesting play. Kuchar, good form, right? Ended up third at the WGC Dell Match Play, and then had a pretty good showing. I know I showed his stats, but I didn't talk a lot about. But had a pretty good showing at Valero. I mean, nothing earth-shattering, but did well, made the cut, was relevant. Louis, you just never know what you're going to get with Louis, but typically in these kind of events, he does well. Of course, Reed, we already know. Finau, suspicious, I think, for the last few tournaments he's been in. I like Cam Smith. Lee Westwood been great form, but who knows how I'll manage it. And actually, you got to see the video that he got to go play here with his son a little bit already, so he's done some preparation here. Sungjae Im had a good showing. I believe it was his first time. We saw him recently, but again, different course conditions. Adam Scott, who's had a decent history here, but his game's been wildly. And then Fitzpatrick, someone else I'm interested in. I have an outright bet on actually Cam Smith and Fitzpatrick. I put him in quite a long time ago. And then last thing I wanted to show you guys was I did want to pull up who is the best putters over the past 24 rounds on bent grass, so bent greens, and this is firm, fast, lightning. So the fast and the lightning are the green speeds, and then the firmness of the greens, and this is how it came out. And no shocking that Reed was, if you look over here is where it's ranked. Number one, you had Rahm. Number two, Harris English, funny enough, who showed a little bit of life the last time we saw him, I believe at the match play, but he's also not been informed since the Tournament of Champions. Of course, Jordan Spieth, Joaquin Niemann, I have a bet on him. I think he could be very live. It's all what that putter does. Kisner, of course, great putter. Couples, funny enough, which he'll play. I think I actually used him in the previous, the 2020, but did not make the cut. Koepka, M, and Schauffele. So that's your guys. If you're interested in just understanding who's some of the better putters on bent surface under the same conditions. And that's it. That's it for the preview. I will be starting to do more heavy analysis, get out my money picks tomorrow. Probably do even more deep dive. I think I'm going to kind of focus it more on maybe like 20 guys that we're really looking at and just really do the analysis on those guys. Because again, I think we can really slim this field down and focus on 20 to 30 guys that we want to play. So again, if you like what you saw, please click the like button. And if you know anybody else that might like it, share it. If you're not a subscriber, I would greatly appreciate it if you'd subscribe. And of course, I've got the contest that I'll be giving away the $100 entries, 2 of those, and putting you into a wheel, random generator spin, and we'll see how that comes out. And if you have any questions, anything I can help you out with, hit me up on YouTube comments or on the Twitter sphere at DFS Golf Guru. I appreciate your time. All the best of luck. Super excited for the Masters, and let's go win this thing. Talk to you guys later.